Hey everyone, I'm Eckert, and I recently played this interesting indie horror RPG called Look Outside, and I wanted to share my thoughts about it and my journey. Look Outside, it's a game developed by Francis Colum, hopefully I'm saying that right, and it manages to mix classic turn-based RPG systems with survival horror, while making some of the most unsettling atmosphere I've felt in a while. I get easily scared, so I might not be the best benchmark for what's scary or unsettling in horror games, but this game knows how to keep me guessing, and it keeps me also at the edge of my seat, alongside with some disturbing imagery and traditional jump scares. So today, I just want to share what it was like to play it, what I loved about it, what made me uneasy, and why it Looked Outside feels like a great blend of survival horror and traditional turn-based RPG. The setup is simple but really effective. The main character is Sam, an average man who lives in an apartment complex. You wake up in your apartment one morning and something's wrong. The world outside has changed. You don't know how or why, only that something catastrophic is happening out there. You're told to wait 15 days for the event to pass. And whatever happens, don't look outside. You're trapped with limited food, limited supplies, and this eerie silence that fills every room. Your only connection to another person? An eye. Yep, a literal eye that's staring at you through a hole in your wall. Apparently, it's your neighbor. They're terrified too, and they tell you to stay calm and keep your eyes away from the windows. That eye becomes your confidant of sorts that you can share your experiences with, and also your safe point. Eventually, the game pushes you to explore your apartment building. The moment you step into the hallway, everything feels off. The lights flicker, you hear footsteps that stop the second you move, you knock on doors, but no one answers, even though you know there's someone behind the doors. The sound design also complements the vibe that the game wants to convey. There's always some distant hum, some echo that makes you feel like you're never truly alone. And when things get really quiet, it adds to the unsettling scare factor. As you explore, you can start to see how badly things have gone. Your neighbors, people you barely interacted with, and others you talk a bit more often, start to change. Their word seems off, their bodies deform. Some are still coherent enough to talk to you, others are completely gone. Kinda haunting. One big incentive to explore is that you need food, soap, toothpaste, you have to shower, eat, and sleep. Every small act of survival matters because time in this game is limited. Every time you explore, every time you go to another apartment, or even battle, you get closer to the 15th day. A cool aspect of the game is that in your apartment, sometimes you can hear a knock on your door. You can choose to open the door or ignore it, and you never know who or what is behind it. It could be someone begging for help, it could be a merchant selling supplies, or it could be something waiting to end you. That single mechanic gave me more anxiety than most of the monsters. It's simple, but it plays perfectly into the game's theme of trust and paranoia. You never know who to trust, or judge a book by its cover. I'm afraid to look through the eye hole and see some monster. You don't see anyone? Combat in Look Outside feels old school but fresh. It's turn-based with the usual health and skill points, but layered with that survival horror edge. Weapons break over time, items are scarce, and enemies can hit hard at the beginning. But you do get experience, you level up, and you get stronger over time. At first, you're completely alone, and every fight feels like a struggle. But as you explore, you start meeting more potential allies, other survivors who somehow haven't lost their minds yet. Each one adds something to your party and to the story. On my playthrough of this game, there are some that I missed due to my mistrust of opening doors to everyone. Wonder if you played this game, how many did you guys miss too by any chance? You can level up, craft new items and tools, and even choose different attack types. There's like slashing, blunt, piercing, and some elemental attacks like fire. The game rewards experimentation, but it also punishes carelessness. It reminds me of the classic NES horror RPG Sweet Home. It's very neat to see this blend of horror and RPG these days. I feel like it's a very underused combination of genres. One of the few outside of some indies that comes to mind is the Shadow Heart series. I wish more companies like took the risk of making something like this, at least one of the big companies. Indies though, they have been killing it lately with games like this and also Fear and Hunger, Lisa to some degree, among others. Visually, Look Outside uses pixel art, but not the cute kind. It's green, textured, and unsettling. The environments are claustrophobic when they need to be, and the lighting helps bring that atmosphere. There's color, but it's used carefully. You can walk into a dark room while things are mostly visible, then suddenly you'll walk into a room that's too bright, too colorful. And then there are the creatures. They're disturbing in that you can't quite describe it kind of way. You see bits of humanity in them, like limbs, teeth, eyes, but everything is just off. Like they have been changed in horrific ways. Music ties it all together and it leans into these like 80s style synth, but I feel like it fits the vibe so well. One of the best parts of Look Outside is how every character feels like a story on its own. There's a man with a pet rat that actually helps in combat, and there's a side quest attached to them as well, in which they deal with bigger rats, bigger problems. There's an artist whose painting comes to life, a physical manifestation of their fear, anger, etc. And these manifestations claim to be the real artist. So it's up to you, the player, if you want to actually figure out who the real one is, or if you want to help one of the fake ones, until one of them remains. Another one that really stood out to me was a mission to help a teacher find their missing students after a bus crash. Most of the kids transformed, but one survived because he was too busy playing on his, what I can say, it's a Game Boy version, a portable gaming console. Hence, they never looked outside. Moments like that perfectly balance the horror with some dark humor, and there's a lot of different characters with different experiences like that. And there's something about each person you meet. You can tell they're holding on to something. Teen, denial, faith, just to stay sane. And it makes me wonder, what would you hold on to if the world started falling apart? So what's the story of Look Outside? As the days goes by, you start piecing together the truth. There's something in the sky, something massive, a visitor. The people who looked outside weren't just scared. They changed. Their bodies twisted, their minds broke. The visitor's mere presence warped reality. You meet a group of astronomers who've been studying the phenomenon. They know more than they're saying. They ask you to gather things that represent the visitor, paintings, photos, recordings, descriptions. Eventually, you bring everything back, and they perform a ritual on the rooftop of the apartment complex to communicate with it. What happens next feels like a fever dream. The astronomers ascend or mutate into what I can only describe as a biblically accurate angel. And then the visitor arrives. And it's then explained that the visitor isn't inherently evil. It didn't mean to destroy the world, it was just curious. It saw Earth, decided to take a closer look, and that was enough to unravel everything. It's pure cosmic horror. The idea that we're so small that even being noticed by something greater can break us. When the visitor realizes what it's done, it leaves, almost apologetically. but the damage is done and it can't be reversed. There's multiple ways things can end though. One of them is surviving the 15 days, other entails giving the wrong item to the astronomer, as well as if you decide to look at the true form of the visitor or deny him. There's no canon ending per se, to my knowledge. I think it's up to the player to think and discuss which one you think it's the real ending or the canon ending, which one is worse or best. Look Outside isn't a long game. My playthrough took me roughly between 10 to 15 hours, but it's powerful. It's strange, it's intimate, and full of ideas that linger. I think what makes it special is how human it feels. It's not just about monsters or jump scares, it's about isolation, trust, and the curiosity we all have to understand the things we shouldn't. It captured that quiet dread of being stuck in a world that doesn't make sense anymore, and still trying to hold on to small routines like brushing your teeth, feeding yourself, talking to an eye in the wall, just normal things we do. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about it. Me, this game it's about surviving the unknown one day at a time. So if you ever play it, I'd love to know what you thought. Did it scare you? Did you find it fascinating? Or did you, like me, spend most of the time second guessing every knock on your door? Anyway, thank you for watching, and for more content like this, please do the things like subscribe, like, comment. Oh, and if an eldritch horror visits Earth anytime soon, don't look outside. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye!